Well. Welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, waking up for a nice and early Thursday. Yes, Thirsty Thursday. Happy Thirsty Thursday. Hope you're having the best Thursday possible in your good old cryptocurrency life. We got plenty to talk about because Bitcoin's, been moving in the overnight session, at least overnight for me in the Eastern European time zone. For you guys in the Western Hemisphere, probably enjoying all of this in real time. And with that, new opportunities and, of course, actually some major targets being hit from yesterday as I look across the board. And my God, with all these things to talk about, I do want to wish you the best, the happiest of the happiest, and let's waste no more time and get into the live scene right here, right now, as the teleportation has been initiated, and it worked. Yes, once again, beautiful, man. Okay, so overall, and potential also other, genders as well, because we want to be inclusive here. Looking at daily right here, pretty damn good close in the daily. In fact, on daily time frame right here, we do still see we're still trending outside the top 200 bands, which is overall good, and it would incite that the actual trend does continue. However, we did hit our major target yesterday, about 13,500-ish region. I was calling for a move towards 13,300 to 13,500. We got up to actually 13,900. And my big point is with this is that this is an area to be a little bit more cautious and careful in. The reason why I say that is because if I put on my drawing tools right over here, you can see very easily and very clearly that we hit up right exactly to the 618 Fibonacci retracement. Also some nice massive horizontal levels from historical point back in late 2017, early 2018. We also see the volume profile having some activity within this region as well, so likely providing some impetus for resistance as well. Not only that, we did see the crypto fear and greed index get all the way up to a 92 read after hitting a 95, like a multi-year high at 95. And again, just more cautionary type things going on. So with all of this said, yes, this pullback was expected. Obviously, I cannot tell you exactly where the pullback is going to go, but when you look at the higher time frames right here, it was actually quite obvious. And here's the thing, and it's not about telling where the pullback is going to go. It's about analyzing what the price action says and then responding to that. And with that said, we actually have something very important here. If I can just pull this out, I think this is going to be best represented maybe on, no, you're not going to get it on a 3-day, maybe on a 2-day, no. It's not going to show on any of these guys. Damn. Oh, that is unfortunate. Maybe we have to go to a 12-hour, but then that kind of destroys the whole point. Anyways, if I scroll out back enough, we're going to have to use our magnifying glass for this. But basically what we did is we hit the 618 Fibonacci retracement, which is statistically very likely to provide a little bit of impetus for resistance. And at that point in time, we initiated pretty much a full-on move down here to the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement. So this is what I'm talking about with the analysis of it, because while we could, yes, talk about a reversal at about the 13,500-ish region, the reaction at the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement is actually very insightful into what's going on in price action right now. Because it was bought up so well, that does tell us that the bots and the algos are still on the buy side, and we're actually being walked up on these fibs. So typically speaking, when the 618 is a sell target for algos, they will actually be buying the 382, which is all the way down at 9,400. So we didn't even get down there. We didn't even get anywhere close there before getting bought back on up. So I would say that on the lower time frames, this actually still is okay. Now, I want to separate very deliberately my opinion from technical analysis. Technical analysis actually looks fine in this region. It actually looks like we're just going to probably reaccumulate and try again higher. My opinion, however, is that we are losing momentum in this region. I do think that Bitcoin goes into a sideways consolidation before anything else. I'm not saying that the quote-unquote top is in, but I do think that we have a local high most likely in, and we're probably going to trade at the very least sideways, for a little bit of time, letting the alt probably catch up a little bit, and then we'll decide in the next direction from there, which is probably, once again, going to be the upside. But for right now, going to be too early to say anything definitive on that direction. I'd like to wait and watch price action unfold probably over the next week or so, and then we can reassess from there. But for right now, going back down to the lower time frames, we have yet again another example of what we've been seeing pretty much almost at every week, at least once a week for the past how long has it been, for the past like 6 months, I suppose, where Bitcoin has a very violent and aggressive move to the downside, and then after that, no follow through is had. What do I mean by follow through? I mean by taking out the low side of that, of the wick. So on this case, it would be about 11,633 on BitMexico. And if we would do that, then yes, I would be looking for further continuations down. Next target would be around 10,900, and I don't believe it would stop there. We'd probably find our way down to the 10,000 level, fill the gap on CMEs right on over here, and then reassess from there after a little bit of a bounce. But with that said, until we actually get that, there's no real continuation to be had, quite obviously. And this is what I mean by looking at price action and responding to price action rather than reacting to it, because we've seen this many times over the past 6 months. These very aggressive down movements right here, major down. It spikes down, scares everyone out of their longs, and then floats on up. And then we have another example right on over here, actually, just floats on up. Another example right on over here. It doesn't look as crazy now because we're dealing with such big numbers here, so relatively speaking, it's not as crazy. But in the moment, these were fucking intense. But again, crazy move down right here, and no follow through. Another very violent one right on over here, no follow through, and right on over here, no follow through as well. And that takes us basically all the way back to February. So we've seen this many times, and typically that is actually a bullish thing, and especially with it bouncing off so aggressively off that 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, it does suggest that the bots and algos are actually intensely buying right now. So with that said, like I said, I want to very clearly separate my opinion from technical analysis. Technical analysis is actually still bullish, actually still saying continuation sooner rather than later. My opinion, however, is that we probably go sideways here, and usually I say I don't trade technical analysis, or sorry, I don't trade my opinion, I trade technical analysis. Bad slip of tongue right there, very bad slip of tongue. But in this case, I'm going to be trading my opinion here. I do think that Bitcoin's going to spend some time going sideways from this region. We are seeing all higher time frames starting to have a little bit of a lost momentum. We do see 12-hour SOS crossing back down to the downside. While the downside crosses haven't been too good, the upside crosses have been amazing. But the downside cross hasn't been too good. We are actually getting some divergence on the Stokes now, which not a death sentence in and of itself, but I'd rather be careful with it than not, as we actually do see Bitcoin kind of slump down in lower time frames. Perhaps we can actually plan a trade here, perhaps a little bit of a scalpy scalp. You know what? I can't get my price target up. There we go. Might just buy this oh, motherfucker, it's still not showing it. Might just buy this 50 exponential. So that's about 12,300. So maybe I'll play a little bit of a bouncer. I'll put an alert there right now. Just for full disclosure, I do have all my positions still open and long, as you can see. Actually took some out of my my streamer account yesterday as well, like out of the actual equity. But as far as positions go, still keeping them all open and long. I did cover last night before I went to bed. So I went to bed when price action was around. It had just hit the high at 13,900, and it came back down to about 13,700. So I covered there, and then I went to sleep, and then woke up, and well, the move had already played out, and then I just uncovered my position once again. So for now, I'm keeping it open and long. But if we do lose this area on the lower time frame, I will consider covering up back again. So this area being again 12,300. If Bitcoin does lose this area by closing about a 2-hour delta below there, maybe an hour, maybe you could make the decision on an hourly. I'd say at the very least we have a move back down to high 11,000. It's about 11,700, 11,800. So that's another $500 move. I'd like to not get shoved up my bunghole, as it's quite tight right now. So overall, that's what I'm looking at right on over here. We do see hourly SOS coming down, so lower time frames do probably hit at the very least this 50 exponential moving average. I do think that we get probably a scalpable bounce, so maybe 12,300 back up to back up a couple $100. So that's kind of the move that I'd be looking for in something like this. But this is very low time frame bullshit. This message will self-destruct in I don't know, probably a couple hours. It's from the time of this recording, just because, well, it's already so fucking close, man. A lot of the times, we talk about the lower time frames in these videos, and it's really not that useful, just because, well, by the time I finish recording these videos and then post them, and by the time the bulk of people have actually seen it, it's like well played out. But fair enough, man. Might as well talk about it while we are here, and perhaps we can actually get a trade on stream. Anyways, with regards to the higher time frames, back onto them, I do want to say that yes, the top Troller bands we are still trending above on just about all the higher time frames. The last 12 are still closed above it on pretty damn good volume, but still a long-legged doji doodle. So perhaps a sign of indecision, perhaps even reversal. But going back to the discussion of of my opinion versus technical analysis, do I think that we consolidate here? I would be holding on to that as long as Bitcoin basically doesn't break this doji doodle right here. If we do trade above the high of it, about 13,900, yes, I'd be looking for continuation into the 14,000s. Probably, I mean, we can talk about short-term targets in there. 14,400 technically would be one, but realistically, it's not really going to stop there. It's probably going to go to 16,000 if that were to happen. We're once again in the crazy times of Bitcoin. This thing is highly volatile. Anyways, with regards to this, we do see that, hey, this 12-hour dildo right here is having a little bit of a struggle, but we still got 5 hours and 31 minutes to go. If we do close above the top side of it, which is about 13,000, we'll say. Jesus, these numbers are getting really difficult to say. Then I'd probably be looking for continuation as well. That would be a little bit of a less strong signal, but perhaps worth pursuing in my opinion. Looking at daily, same thing here. We've actually closed well above the top 200 band, and we're still trending above the top 200 band. And this daily dildo right here is actually just coming back down to test the top Trollinger band as well. I mean, this is, you know, still technically trending. And let's bring up the 3-day as well. The 3-day just closed yesterday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And again, we've closed a very nice, thick, girthy 3-day dildo above the top Trollinger band. And we've just come back down to test the bottom, we've just come back down to test the top side of the Trollinger band again. I mean, this is what happens during strong trends, to be fair. And do we have 3-day Stokes still up? We do have 3-day Stokes still up. And really what I want to have my mind's eye on is this 3-day jewel right here. So 3-day jewel is coming down. Oh, there's my alert. Let's see if we can actually do this. I'm gonna do this on the December futures. Maybe we do like maybe not 200, maybe not $250,000 right there on my fucking streamer account. Jesus Christ. Maybe 30,000. There's not too much liquidity in these books. You do see a few here and there, so there's gonna be some slippage on this, but I could probably make it work. I want to see it come down a little bit lower though, just a little bit more, and then we could probably play. But you know what? Let's actually get on over here. Let's see what's going on the 30-minute, and then we'll get back to it. Do I still want to take that? Do I still want to take that? Yeah, you can go ahead and do it. Let's see if I actually get filled with. Looks like we've already played out $150 fucking bounce. Oh my god, that was fast. That was fast. Yeah, I'm not gonna get filled on this. Fuck it. Fuck it. All right, whatever. All right, back onto the actual charts, and what else do we have? So going back to it, the 3-day, before I so rudely interrupt myself, but the 3-day jewel is what I really want to keep my mind's eye on right now, because this is going to be my next big indication for the next likely big sell-off, you know, to the tune of 30 to 40%, of which, you know, I'd like to be a buyer on, you know, on the downside. But for right now, as we do kind of head above, we do see that the light blue has actually pierced. The light blue oscillator has pierced through the pink oscillator as expected yesterday. So this is not going to act as a resistance on this way. This actually suggests that we probably do have some more up to go. And with regards to that former conversation of judging the next 30 to 40% pullback, I want to see this light blue oscillator get into the zone right here, outlined by these dotted red trend lines. That's all the way at the 88.5 to a 91 read. If you have access to the jewel, I do have alerts in that region, and that is and it's for this reason, because when we get this setup where the light blue oscillator gets into this more critical zone outlined by those areas, gets red in the background, and then gets a negative slope on that light blue oscillator, we have called some pretty much to the T. And again, I don't like to overestimate this, but pretty much to the T in history, all of these pretty nasty pullbacks within the greater trend of a bull market, and of course in a bear market as well, the tops. But you know, 40% retracement right over there off that signal, about a 38% retracement right over there off that signal, about a 31% retracement off that signal, another 31, 32% retracement off that signal. Another, what have we got on this one? Another 36% retracement off that signal. Obviously called the top in 2018 as well. And if we go all the way back, you know, it gets all those ones as well. But this one, obviously an outlier, about 68%. My point is that when looking at this sort of things, I'm not going to go with the outlier here. I'm going to go with the 30 to 40% retracement. And more importantly, if and when we do get this indication, that is when I'll be taking action. But as you can see, that would actually imply that this light blue oscillator gets much, much higher, which would also imply that price action goes higher for the most part. I mean, yes, it can flatten out a little bit, but for the most part, you know, it would imply more upwards pressure to go. And with that said, that means that, well, perhaps I am a little bit more biased to the upside. We could certainly consolidate sideways, and this would still go up, but it would lose its very aggressive slope and come into a more anemic slope, if you want to call it that. But for right now, still pretty damn strong, and we are starting to signal red in the background. Once again, that's not a sell signal in and of itself. What's more important is that we actually see the light blue pass the pink, which is suggesting that we probably have some more to go, actually. Anyways, with regards to that, it is important to check out the 3-day RSI as well, which is going to be creating some divergences here. But here's the thing. Of course, I don't want to be caught up in the divergence fuckfest over here, because we still do not have a local top in place. The last 3-day dildo was completely continuation. We're trending above all major moving averages on this time frame, and we're seeing all major moving averages migrate above one another. So we have a full-on splayed out attempt of the lower periods above higher periods. So intuitively, you know that a lower period trading above a higher period does suggest that the trend is, well, strengthening to the upside, especially if they're divergence away from each other, which we see right here between the red 10 simple, the yellow 21, and then obviously the green 50, the purple 200, and the cyan 89, all kind of splaying away from each other. So trend is strengthening to the upside over the long period of time, you know, as we remain above all these guys right here. So until they actually put in a local high and confirm a local high, there's no major divergence to be had. And as you can see, we are certainly working on divergence here. It's still too early to call that. And even just looking at a daily, it's still going to take a little bit of time to get even a local high here. As I mean, yesterday was still just continuation. So is my opinion going to be wrong on some sideways action? I'd still probably hold with it. I think it's better to be safe here than sorry, more than anything. Let's go check out CMEs for a second. How are CMEs doing? CMEs basically looking more or less the same. Lower time frames, probably have a little bit of downside here to go. But what's most important with CMEs is the difference in price between CMEs and spot right now. Spot is trading at about 12,400. CMEs are trading about 12,860. Well, it is on a delay, so they are, it's going to be a little bit more, but somewhere around 12,700 is probably where their true value is right now. And that means that we're seeing about a $200 to $300 premium on CME prices. But that's not crazy in and of itself. What is crazy is that this is with 1 day to go till expiration, as I believe they expire tomorrow, Friday, as that's going to be the last trading day of the month, as they are closed during the actual, during the 30th, right, on Sunday, or for most of Sunday at least. So I'd imagine that they're going to use Friday closing price to mark these things off. And always at expiration, the front month on futures are going to be equal parity to the spot underline. So with this sort of a massive differential, that actually does suggest that we're going to see some massive volatility. There's going to be a massive arbitrage opportunity between the futures and spot to the tune of $200 to $300 right now, depending upon how you kind of mark these guys off. I mean, technically $400 if you want to do this by the book. But my point is that that's going to drive a lot of traders to kind of collapse that premium. And how can they do that? Well, they can buy up the spot underline and then sell, and then sell their positions on, on the futures, or they can sell the futures down and then buy up the spot underline. I mean, in that sense, nothing operates in a vacuum, and because there is that arbitrage opportunity, you're going to see people buying the spot underline, but also selling the futures. So that's going to drag up the spot underline and push down the futures. So by that metric, we can actually expect a little bit of up here, most likely. And there we go, nice little down there. Bitcoin coming back down and going to be actually below the. So good thing that I did take that trade off. That was just a $150 play in the span of very fast. Understand that those scalps happen extremely fast, and if you don't get it on the first try, I pull my bids. I do not want it on the second try. It doesn't mean it always doesn't work out on the second try, but it's better to be safe than sorry in my experience. And right here is no different of an example. And as we do see, if we actually start closing dildos, hourly dildos below 12,450, probably going to come back down to about 11,850 is what it looks like. Some nice horizontal support right here, very small, but it is present. So I could try another scalp bounce right over here. I don't know if we'll actually see this on video, but hey, if it does happen, I'll put an alert right now, and we can just monitor that one going forwards. And hopefully this time I can be a little bit faster. It's difficult when you're doing a video and then also trying to trade. But again, this is my streamer account. It's not my main priority, and that would just been to it's a very short-term scalp, nothing more than that, nothing too crazy. I don't want to present that as like my main mode of trading right now, which my main mode of trading right now is basically just holding these positions and letting them play out, as just pretty damn happy with those guys right now. So I will be building a position on the December futures at some point in time, but for right now I'm still well and far away from that really happening, is what it looks like to me. Anyways, let's go through the medium time frames. We haven't really done that just yet. 4 hour coming back down, yeah, and I do like this trade as well because it's also gonna be confluent with the 4 hour yellow 21 exponential moving average right on over here. A few hairs below 12,000 it looks like. We do we have any divergence on the 4 hour? We do not have any divergence on the 4 hour, funnily enough. It just got so fucking high. Holy shit, fuck, man. But remember, it's this wick right here that I'd be cognizant of from the more medium to higher time frame perspective. If that area gets taken out to the downside, we will likely see a move back down below 11,000 actually, or at least to 11,000 and probably below there. So we are kind of at a pivotal moment if this trend is going to continue. But yesterday night we did see some pretty big deals, right? We saw some pretty big deals. We saw the 618 hit, we saw the sell-off, and now do we get continuation from this sell-off? We have not gotten continuation from any sell-off in over 6 months. I mean, basically since the bear market ended, essentially. So that's what I have my mind's eye on, because if that does happen, that's going to be a change in phase on the medium-term time frame outlook. Of course, longer term still very bullish, but it would suggest that we found a local top. We probably trade sideways to down a little bit, over the next few weeks, and then we'll resume from there as the altcoins. And it's probably going to be a good thing for the altcoins altcoins actually. Anyways, with regards to that, 4-hour Stoch's going to be coming down, as you can see, but we do have a nice trend line actually forming here. So I would be looking for it to get picked up along this trend line. But how much damage is done to price actually before we get there? That's a good question. We probably have another couple of 4-hour dildos before that gets touched. Not only that, let's go over here to the 8-hour. 8 hours is going to be coming down as well. What about 12-hour? 12-hour is going to be coming down as well. What about daily? Daily is going to be coming down as well. This is why I do look for a little bit of downside here. I am a little bit like I said, I am a little bit biased towards the short and medium time frames having some downside, and probably the medium and the higher time frames having just more consolidation in this region. That's essentially what I'm thinking right now. But again, with the lower time frames here, I would change that tentatively to the upside. If we could get back above 13,300, anywhere above 13,300, I become a bull once again, back up towards 13,900, 14,000, and then probably beyond. But for right now, it doesn't look like that's the route that we're going to take. It looks like we're going to come back down here, and on the lower time frames, take a little stab towards 11,850-ish region, where I'll try to play a little bit of a scalp. But again, a very quick scalp. I don't think that this one's going to be anything more than 100 or 200 bucks. I really don't want to get greedy with it, because this is a little bit more intense selling here. It's not crazy, but we do see hourly historical volatility percentile is completely redlined here, and I usually look for consolidation on this time frame when we do that. The last time that and just as an example, the last time that we did it was over here after this nice run up attempt, and completely red, and just cools off for the next week or so, goes sideways, and then just floats on up, onwards and upwards once again. I am curious how high time frame we can go with still redlining that. We do see 2 hours redlining. In fact, we haven't seen a 2-hour redline in a very long time. Wow, a very, very long time. In fact, last time that we saw was on that very aggressive push to the upside on that first run to 8,000. Let's see, what about a 4-hour? 4-hour is, yeah, not quite there just yet. So overall, we are seeing some technicals suggest that it is time for some consolidation. So that's why I really pulled most of my positions, and what I'll probably be covering once again, especially if we can go back down and take out this area to the downside, I'll be happy to cover. I do want to talk about the expected moves for a second, just because I completely forgot. Oh, you bastard, how dare you. I completely forgot to talk about this. Also, with regards to yesterday's move to the upside, we actually hit the second ring of the expected moves, which, well, actually no, that was today. Yesterday's daily dildo was this one. We actually got almost all the way up to the third ring. Holy shit, man. So we were in between the second and third ring, so that's literally like, between 95 and 99, even a little bit less than that if you want to get super exact. But more importantly, with regards to that, is the expected moves chart is well, first and foremost, I should probably explain it. It's essentially the standard deviation away from the mean of volatility. It's basically expected moves based off of volatility. Is that the best way that I can explain it? That's probably the best way that I can explain it. But realistically, what's the way to use it is probably the more important part. That I would explain as essentially is a lot more intuitive. This first ring is to 68%, so that's very, very likely that we play between a daily range between about in this scenario about 12,100 and 13,000. We've already gotten above 13,000, so that's already out of the window. The second ring is the 95, so this means that it's significantly less likely. So to trade above the second ring would imply that we're doing something that has about a 5% probability of happening, and or above or below. And this range would be between about 13,500 and all the way down to about 11,720. And the third and final is like the 99.7, I believe it is, something like that. And that would imply a range of between 13,950 to 11,350. So quite significant. But remember, that's literally less than 1% of a chance, as you'd imagine that would be a pretty fucking momentous move. I mean, yes, we do see it every once in a while. I'm trying to find an example of the last time we hit up all the way to the third ring right here and right here. It does happen on extremely aggressive moves, but rare. It's quite rare. So my point is that realistically yesterday we did see a move back up into that range, which was accurately aligned with all of those major resistances. To recap it once again, it was the volume profile on our higher time frames. It was also the 618 Fibonacci retracement from the ultimate high to the ultimate low of the last market cycle. Also some historical horizontal trend lines coming in from late 2017, early 2018, and then what else? I feel like there's something else in there, but it was also the measure move off of a lower time frame formation. So overall, those sorts of things do hold their merit, and I do like to see it. I do like to see it agree with the maths right on over here. So shout out to Bollypore for this one. Very, 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 very useful indicator, and still actually getting it pretty damn right within this first range right here. So that tells me that we probably do consolidate. That's essentially what it would it would be implying. Anyways, back onto our charts right on over here. Let me just make sure that I don't have any surprise positions in my face. Okay, good. All right, great. Hey, there we go. No surprise positions like that. And Bitcoin actually getting a little bit of a wick so far. So is it gonna get front ran off the yellow 21 exponential moving average? Perhaps, but still a little bit too early to tell. Let's go check out GBTC. GBTC $17.08, and just continuation to the upside. As you'd imagine. Again, it looks like you're gonna get a DeLorean trade on this one. This one basically hitting the prior high. So we did have a target of about I said $17.50. Did we get up there? We got to 17.40 cents. All right, not bad. And I do think that this one probably does come back down today. You're probably gonna see a down open back down to like $16, 16 and a quarter-ish area, and then we'll work our way from there. But right now, a little bit of a DeLorean trade as you do get to watch spot charts operate in real time while GBTC is still being held back. More importantly for Bitcoin, let's go back on over to Mr. Bitcoin and let's just judge. Let's go back down to, or have I said everything that I want to say here? I might have said that everything that I want to say. I think it is still worth mentioning though that if we go back onto the higher time frames, they are still saying the trend is still to the upside. So while my opinion is that we probably do put in a little bit of a local top here and then trade sideways to a little bit down over the next week or two, the technicals actually do still suggest up. So how will I know that I'm going to be wrong in this? How will you know that Krown's an idiot? Krown's stupid. Krown has dumb hair and he should fucking die, and he's wrong, and he's wrecked because he's still holding long. Well, in that case, you should definitely leave a comment. And also, I'd say you're probably going to know that if we close the next daily dodo above the top 200 band again. If we can do that again, I'd say we probably do trend still more to the upside. And that's at around 12,600. So obviously it's a long day before that even happens. But that would be probably what I want to see. And actually not even 12,600. I want to see it with the body. So I'd want to see about 12,900, 13,000 would be a lot more convinced. If we can close above 13,000 on the daily, then yes, I'd be looking for a continuation back to, above 14,000 and beyond really. And at that point in time, if Bitcoin can really clear and close, above the 618 Fibonacci retracement on higher time frames, like I'm talking like at the very least a daily, but preferably like a 2-day, 3-day, weekly, then yes, I do believe that we'd float onwards and upwards, likely towards 16,000 over time. But for right now, you do see a clearing obvious rejection off this horizontal, which I do kind of correlate with the 618 Fibonacci retracement, which I also do correlate with the volume profile, which I also do correlate with the measure move that we looked at on the lower time frames yesterday, and also with the expected moves coming in right on over here on the second ring. So with all of that said, I do think that I actually do feel quite strongly that we do trade sideways here and probably fill out this range between, as we said yesterday, about 13,300 to 11,000 ish area, and then resolve it from there. But for right now, it's still kind of in question. On the lower time frames, you will once again know that I'm wrong a little bit more immediately if you use the 2 hour here. Hey, you bastard, stop doing this. There we go. You'll know that I'm wrong immediately. Not immediately, but you'll know that I'm wrong more soon, and with a very high chance, of going back to the upside, back towards 14,000 and beyond. If Bitcoin can get back above about 13,300, 13,000, about 13,300, anywhere above this wick right here, and I do believe that we'd see that move back up into the 13,900 region and probably even take out the top after that and just continue onwards and upwards. So that's essentially what I'm saying right now. And until we do that, I think that Bitcoin is just going to, just be awesome in between these regions. We do see some nice volume profile activity being shown right around about 11,400. So that's a point of interest. And then also 10,800. So those are big areas of interest from a more medium term time frame perspective. But if Bitcoin does get down around there, I would be looking for at the very least short-term bounces there, and perhaps more, but we'd have to assess that in real time. And right now is, we're too far away to really judge that. The biggest things for me pointing to the downside are basically all time frame stokes pointing down right now. We got 2 hour, 4 hour, 8 hour, 12 hour, daily, and weekly, all going to be pointing down. So I usually don't like trading against that, and I just feel like Bitcoin has hit some major levels, and we're probably going to spend some time resolving this. As from my experience in trading traditional markets, those major numbers typically do get played off of. It's just a very common bot and algo programming target. They're going to be playing off that, but it's going to be very revealing to see how this next phase plays out, because that's going to really dictate the pace of the following one. Which, if we go back on over here, the way that I kind of relate this is that as long as Bitcoin does not lose the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement, I would say that this is still, from a more long-term perspective, pretty fucking ultra bullish bullish actually. If we do start to lose the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement from a long-term perspective, then that's going to suggest that we do work our way down to, at the very least, test 10,000 right here and fill the gap on CMEs all the way back from all the way back is like literally last week on 17th of June, and you know, and our other major area of interest would be the 382 Fibonacci retracement. Now let's do a little bit of mental masturbation here, and let's go back to that discussion of the 3-day jewel, right? Calling 30 to 40% retracements, and let's just say, what if it happens from our current high? You know, what if, right? And does it line up with anything else? Well, if we take it off and put on a nice or a nice pullback here, and let's just do 30% first. And where does 30% land us? Lands us right around 9,500, which is where? Which is right above the 382 Fibonacci retracement. So a lot of the time, if you're going to be selling this area, you're going to be by nature buying this area, actually right here from a long-term bought algo programming standpoint. And does that match up with anything else around the 9,500-ish level? Well, actually, I believe it does, because if we go back on over here towards our, you know, on our CME chart, do we have anything around the 9,500-ish level? Actually, no, not really. It was just this major breakout on over here, this breakout on over here. So yes, we do have structural support, but I'm not seeing anything else really major line up. Let's go back to that same chart, and let's say, and remember, 30% was kind of on the lower side for a retracement. What if we were to take a little bit more? You know, take the mean of those, about 35%, and let's just do something like that. And what do we have here? 35% would put us right around, or sorry, about let's go to the top end of the you know, of the section, about 40%, or a little bit, or you know, a little bit below 40%. Anyways, right around here, about 8,500. Does 8,500 match up with anything on the more aggressive standpoint? Well, if we go over here to CME, charts, we do see that we still have this massive gap up from 8,500. So that would actually line up with that pretty much perfectly. So I would say that on, you know, if Bitcoin does put in a top here, and this is again mental masturbation, this is not good technical analysis, this is me doing something, you know, a little bit too much, you know, for the most part. The beginning of these videos is where all of the more actionable information is on. Now we're getting into like mental masturbation, but it is fun, you know, it keeps away that good old blue brains. And when I look at that, it does match up of quite literally right with the 8,500-ish level from this gap coming all the way back towards June 10th. So do keep that in mind. Not only that, but if we go back onto the expected moves chart, you will see that that's, you know, it's, if we go to the weekly and probably adjust this, let me put different date. Oh, motherfucker, don't do this right now, you oh, you little piece of shit. So I'm getting very autistically raged about this. Do apologize about that. It's quite embarrassing, but thoroughness, it's all in the name of thoroughness, my friends. Yes, we do see on the weekly for the expected moves that our second ring is actually going to be rising up into the 8,500-ish level, or it's actually right around 8,500-ish right now. In fact, the third ring is going to be coming up to 8,500 over the next few weeks. So it would be a max area. And by the way, this also does imply that, you know, I don't think that Bitcoin's going below 7,000. I don't think Bitcoin's going below 7,000. For all the people who think that this is some sort of a bull trap, or you know, a B wave, or whatever it might be called, or you know, your Elliott waves are telling you that this thing's going back down to fucking 2,000 or 1,000. I'd say that's very unlikely, even from a mathematical perspective, looking at the expected moves, but also just from a trending perspective as well, which actually put, you know, just as much weight on it, especially from my, you know, for actual trading. You know, looking at this, we have full bullish posturing of all the major moving averages right here. 3-day. We have a golden cross. We're above all major moving averages. We are above the white 200 simple, and we've got the yellow 21 exponential moving average crossing above the white 200 simple as well. And in this past, this has been a great indication of where we are on the market phase. Crossing the downside right over here, bad. Crossing the upside right on over here, good. And going back a little bit more, we do see the same golden cross in this region at about $350 for the next 3 years, just straight up. Same thing with the white 200 simple and yellow 21 exponential moving average crossing to the upside right on over here, and same result. And also just the white 200 simple in general, giving you, you know, it's just, again, bad here, good here, you know. So just kind of simplifying it up, and well, Bitcoin from a more longer term perspective, just heading upwards and onwards. Not only that, but while we are here, let's go check out the monthly for a second, as we are getting close to the monthly ending. And monthly has taken out, I mean, shit, man, it's I wonder. Look at the monthly. It actually got up right to the prior high right here on the dildo bodies, and backed off a little bit, as you'd expect. But still, this is looking like continuation from a monthly perspective. So the monthly can come back all the way down to like low 9,000s and still look completely fine next month. And we're going to see the yellow 20 exponential moving average and also the red 10 simple have a nice positive and actually aggressive slope to the upside here, and they're actually converge on each other, which they're technically in a downside across right now, but they're going to be converging on each other. So a little bit of a bull trap right here, and then, or sorry, bear trap right here, and then upwards and onwards as our tentacles, or sorry, our oscillators did not lie on that one. In fact, oscillators right here, monthly Stokes saying straight up. We do have kind of the same signature in 2015, calling the bullish momentum. Same thing with monthly RSI crossing the upside of the exponential right here and right here, both accurately calling the bullish momentum being gained essentially. And let's actually go through this a little bit more because we are coming to the end of the month. Let's look at the accumulation distribution indicator. So I'm going to bring it up right here, and this is an indicator where I only care about slope. If it's positive slope, it's good. If it's negative slope, bad. And you do see it's pretty much accurately called the bottom in January 2019. We've been positive slope the whole way through. I'm going to imagine that this next tick is going to be a positive slope as well. So probably all is going to be well and good. But if we do get another positive slope, I'll just be looking for another month of likely upside is what I'm is essentially what I'm getting at right now. What else do we want to look at? Or let me actually get off this indicator. Let's actually look at it on a weekly for a second. Weekly should be up, I'd imagine. Yes, indeed, it is up. It flatlined for a second there, but all good. And looks like it wants a little bit more. So back on the Bitcoins and back on the lower time frames. Kind of wrapping up the lower time frames a little bit. I want to make sure that I'm getting this one perfectly. But came back down to the 50 exponential, and lower time frames. Not going to really be getting too much here. But I would say as long as Bitcoin's closing hourly dildos above 11,850, then the medium and the higher time frames are kind of safe, and I'd still be operating on this as just consolidation-ish area. The second that we break 11,850 to the downside and close like an hourly dildo below there, or just take out the wick of this major massive girthy red dildo right here at 11,633, then I would be looking for a more aggressive move to the downside, probably back down to about 11,100, 11,000 even, and then we'll reassess from there. Probably have some more downside to go if that were to happen, but for right now, a little bit too early to judge it. By the same token, if Bitcoin does trade back above and close 2-hour dildos above 13,100, I think that would look wildly optimistic, or an hourly above 13,300. Both those would make me look for another move back up to about 13,900 and likely get continuation from there, and that would obviously be the more bullish scenario. But until one of those things happens, this is just consolidation to me. We're likely to just kind of go sideways here, and really not too many trades to be had until we actually break those ranges, as Bitcoin is wild. It's a fucking wild run right now. Let me just make sure that my mic's actually working. Okay, good. Should probably check that. As probably sooner than before you're about 30 minutes into making a video. What else do we got, baby? What else do we got? So let's go check out the other top shitcoins. How are they faring up right now? I am curious. We got Mr. Beaterall right on over here, 320. So Mr. Beaterall actually selling off pretty damn hard with the rest of the market. But look at this. While we do have a nice wick to the upside, and technically this would be technically this would be a variation of a shooting star, we don't have continuation just yet. So until we actually take out the low side of this prior dildo at 313 and 13 cents on Finex, I would not be calling this a local top. If we do that, then yes, I'd be looking for a move back down to about $300 even, and probably a bounce there. Lower time frames are looking wildly similar to Bitcoin. Does look a little bit toppy to me, but that's again that's more my opinion than technical analysis. Technical analysis says what I just said on the daily right on over here. Let's see if this one's trending outside the top 200 bands. It is not. Or no, the last one did close above the top 200 band, but this one right here obviously being held below, but it's too early to kind of judge that. The next best thing we can do is the 12-hour, but the 12-hour did close below the top, and it's actually using the top as resistance right now. So I do think that we actually test a little bit lower here. $300 actually does look a little bit likely. But remember, the actionable area on that, is what we just discussed. From a weekly standpoint perspective, weekly still looks good. Weekly still looks like wants trend to the upside. I think I said yesterday I had a target of about 365 to 370. We get up to 363 and 30 cents, so close enough is close enough. Obviously didn't get it exactly right, but doesn't need to be exactly right in order to make money. And I'd say that again, same sort of idea here. Hit around our area and then down. In fact, this one perhaps a little bit more accurately like this, and there we go. Now, I'll leave that one up here. I think that this one does still hold merit, but some a little bit more like that. But again, we see the same sort of areas, right? A very similar setup to Bitcoin, actually. We can put on a Fibonacci retracement as well, which is not going to look, is actually going to look completely different. Or I guess I've already done it. Yeah, looking at this on this over here, we actually did hit about the 236. So, likely to have a little bit of counter trend pressure there. And, well, that's what we see. So, what else we got? Mrs. Litecoin taking a nosedive towards our 120 target. So yesterday I said, if Mrs. Litecoin closes outside this bottom support right here on the potential ascending triangle, then we're going to head down to 120, and that happened in the early morning hours right here, right before daily close, and then continuation onto the target, actually a little bit through the target right now. Does this one have more downside to go, or do I think that it's probably going to bounce here? No, I think it probably bounces here, and we probably try to bounce back up to about 125-ish region, and then we'll figure it out from there. But right now, Litecoin, this this certainly is a confirmed local top. It was confirmed ever since right on over here, and then ultra confirmed from a low time frame perspective for trades to the downside as we broke that trend line. So this one hitting all the targets, and I do think that it bounces here, and I think that, and then we'll kind of reassess from there. Other than that, don't have a strong opinion on this, but yeah, probably back up to about 123 to 125, and then the game begins once again. But this kind of looks like distribution to me, and this looks like our first markdown. So yeah, when we trade back up, we'll figure out if it's going to be redistribution or not. But gonna likely look like it's going to be redistribution to me on first glance. But we'll come back to that one later, because right now it's a little bit too premature to really judge it. Let's go check out the other our other lovely shitcoins. In fact, fucking Link, man, holy shit, man, this thing is a beauty of a beauty, and I do think that Link is quite bullish here. Link has been one of the best charts in the market for ever since I've known about it. I don't know anything about Link from a fundamental perspective. Don't know what the fuck it is. Don't know what the fuck it does. Probably links chains like a fence, and all higher time frames are bullish here. So we actually hit our target yesterday, not at 15,000. And again, I want to back away from saying like we hit target. I don't want to be like that person. Like, we hit the target. I knew it. I'm the best. I'm a genius, and I have no trade to prove it. It's like, okay, that's great. And I hear a lot of people hooting and hollering about this once again on crypto Twitter and crypto Reddit and like Instagram as well, which is very bizarre. But without showing a trade, it's just it's like, okay, here's your pat on the back, but might as well play the game if you're going to call it right? And so there's no reason not to show it. And that's the basis of me having this account running over here. It's not even my main account. It's just an account that I use to do trades on, while I'm streaming, for, one, privacy reasons, also legal reasons, and well, just because I think it's important to verify yourself. Proof of trade, as Ivan says. By the way, massive shout out to Sunny Decree yesterday. That guy is fucking awesome, man. I've actually spoken to him, or I probably already told this story, but I actually spoke to him, one-on-one, just voice chat, and really reasonable guy, just fucking awesome, man. He's sharp, he knows what he's talking about, and he's one of the guys who I'd say, actually has a fucking clue. And just generally fucking cool person to begin with. But he was talking about it yesterday, man, and then I tune into his stream and he's showing his trades. So Sonny, I want to say, man, that's the shit, because you're raising the bar by you doing that, and you self-proclaim yourself as not really a trader, but you doing that, you now raise the bar for all of the other people who claim to be traders, and that's what I really think is amazing, man. So good shit on that, and also great trade. I mean, shit, man, you fucking that was a good position that I saw, man. Fucking well done. So hell yeah, man. And again, just want to say, hey, man, that's where I want to see the space going towards. Transparency. That's what we want. Don't trust or trust but verify, or whatever the fuck the saying is. It doesn't matter what the saying is. You know the gist of what I'm saying, and that's fucking awesome, man. Because now for all the people who always talk about trading and talk about how great they are, and it's just one more added pressure, especially with someone like Sunny Decree, who has a pretty damn big following. So again, man, really love the way that space is going, because when people, when you have a lot of shysters in the space, which, every space does, that kind of stuff helps, man. And I'm very much on board with that. Anyways, with regards to Chainlink over here, looking good. It looks like it wants some continuation to me, probably back towards 21,000 and beyond. 21,000 would be first target, 23,000 would be second target, and probably gonna try for some new highs here. This is a great reaction on the weekly. It got very close to almost being engulfing even yesterday. So this one looking pretty damn good. I'd imagine that the US dollar pairing is even better. In fact, we can just look at it right now, because I know a lot of people like this one. The US dollar pairing's at all-time highs, essentially. This one's in a blue sky breakout. It's fucking good, man. There's nothing else to say. There's nothing else to say. Cardano, what's Cardano doing? This is, and again, I don't mean to pick on Cardano here. This is pretty much the way that almost every altcoin looks. Looks like absolute dog shit, just with lower highs and lower lows the whole way through. This is concerning, I would say. This is very concerning. But with regards to this, while it does imply some more downside, as we have even accelerated past our last line of defense, it is it's not really an outlier here. This is the way that most altcoins look. In fact, most look even worse than this. Making new lows past their ICO dumps, which this one looks like it wants to get back down to be fair. But you get my point, is that this one kind of just accurately represents, you know, 90% of the altcoins in this market. If we go over here to the Bitcoin dominance chart, you'll get a better idea of what's going on, because the Bitcoin dominance chart has been bullish for a very long time. We got very bullish after the breakout out of this flag formation right here. You know, it reaccumulated. It will reclaim it as much as you can, and then another breakout right on over here after this small flag. So to me, this is damn good. We're at the next kind of, you know, small term resistance. I do think that we probably take a little bit of a stutter step here, which would imply that alts do get a little bit of love, but ultimately this measure move off this flag still very much present all the way towards about 69.92. Great number as well. So I would be expecting actually a little bit more pain for alts, as we've been saying for the past couple months, the past few months actually. But looking at the monthly right here, speaking of, we do see very obviously that Bitcoin accelerating above this region, and using that yellow 20 minute exponential moving average on the monthly to kind of rally off of, which if you remember on Bitcoin itself, there was some pretty damn big implications the second that we regained the yellow 20 minute exponential moving average right on over here in April, then another 70% move right on over here in May, and then another 70% in June. Just absolute insanity. So do keep your eyes on that. But let's get back on over to the Bitcoin dominance chart and just kind of explain it a little bit more, because the Bitcoin dominance chart does suggest that altcoins, you know, are going to be under pressure for a little bit longer. We are getting close to to some major resistances, but we're not quite there just yet. I mean, well, technically we're at the first one right here. Technically we are at the first one right here, and we actually do see a little bit of activity. You know what, probably, you know what, that actually would align with Bitcoin going into a consolidation phase right now. So you know what, maybe actually alts do kind of get a little bit of love here, maybe led by Link, as Link is just looking phenomenal, man, really phenomenal. Definitely an outlier within this market. Most things look like Cardano actually. So if the dominance chart does start here for a little bit, which actually does kind of make sense, especially if I'm looking for a consolidation on on spot charts, then that would likely align for good things versus on altcoins versus Bitcoin. But remember, you know, even Cardano and most altcoins look great versus the dollar. At least last I checked, they looked great. This one still looks fine, still within this triangle right here, but still getting rejected at the top. If we can actually close a daily dodo above like 9.7 cents, I'd be looking for a move towards 12.5 cents and beyond, most likely. What about BNB? What's BNB doing versus the dollar? Ooh, losing a little bit as well, putting in its own local top right on over here. Do you think that this one probably does come back down and test this trend line all the way down at 33.5? Let's look at the weekly for a second. Yeah, weekly, I'd still be looking for a bounce within that region. Weekly still okay, technically speaking, but is starting to look a little bit more toppy heavy. So I would be looking for a bounce anywhere around this region, about 33.5 bucks, and then we'll reassess from there. Zcash, what's Zcash doing? Got pushed down hard, but bouncing hard as well. As long as this, I think that this one's setting up. I do think that this one's setting up. Golden cross between the green and the purple, above almost every major moving average. My rule is, if you have the golden cross, I'm never bearish as long as you're above the yellow 21 after getting the golden cross. And this one's really fighting for that blue 3.7 cent exponential moving average. If we can actually close this next daily dodo above 110, then I would be looking for the next move to be hit up to about 135 over time. Bcash, what's Bcash doing? Same sort of thing, getting rejected from the blue 377, as you can see right on over here, but just coming back down and basing off the next support. So, as long as it holds this area, it's okay. And this area being 455, 455 does get broken, then I would be looking for a move probably back down to low 400s. But for right now, I give it the benefit of the doubt, although the rest of the market is looking a little bit droopy. Tron, once again, rejected at our 4 cent resistance. Probably going to bounce off this area, though. 3.44. Already wicked it twice, so I do think that it tries a little bit of a bouncy bounce here. Neo, what's Neo doing? Hit our 20.5 cent target right here. Beautiful. Looks like it wants to come down as well, probably back down to about 16.5 bucks. EOS, EOS getting beat up here. Looks like it wants to make another move towards 607. What else we got? Ripple me nipples. What's he doing? NAS. Okay, this is a problem for Ripple. Actually, it's actually a little bit of a problem, and it's also a bigger problem that I can't even get a full chart on this. So let's do it on Stamp. Yeah, okay. Ripple's in a little bit of trouble here. If this next daily doodle closes anywhere below 45 cents, anywhere below about, sorry, let's make it, let's be more lenient. Let's say 44.5 cent. If we close anywhere below 44.5 cent, I'm gonna be looking for another move back down here towards 39.5. But for right now, still a little bit too early to say. However, you know, it could just be that we redraw it like this, and that's, you know, that's technically the right way to do things. That's why I don't like diagonals to begin with. Kind of creating a rising channel, which typically is a bearish, you know, bearish formation. Looking at weekly, weekly took out the prior low. Yeah, I'd say still structural support right around 40 cents to 39.5 cent. Would be looking for a bounce around there. I mean, we've kind of already got it at 41 cents. I'd stay within this region here. It's hard to be bullish on this chart until we get back above 47 cent, and even then, I mean, it looks like my target was front ran at my target being about 52 cents right here. We get up to about 50, a little bit above 50 cents right here. Longer term, I still do think that it hits 60 cents, but we're gonna need to see it kind of resolve itself right here. Need to see where this next daily doodle closes, then we can reassess. Stellar, what's Stellar doing? The Rumens coming back down to our bottom support. In fact, just elongate that one even more so. Let me get rid of this. That one's not too relevant. We're still kind of in this flag formation. We're actually wicking off the bottom right now, so you know, could play a position here. Very easy to manage risk, just anywhere below the support trend line right here. You know, a decent setup, I suppose, but I don't like the way that this one's increasing volume to the downside. In fact, looking at historical volatility percentile, we're actually redlining right here, or sorry, not redlining, but we're printing snake eyes right here. So a little bit under pressure. If this area does break, we're going to come down a lot more towards 10.8 cent. Litecoin, we already looked at that. Let's go look at traditional markets. Traditional markets ending the day at 290.5. So do we, you know, what am I looking at on traditional markets? It's really the daily, or sorry, it's really the weekly. But if we do go back to the daily, I do think that it comes back down and tests 289 or 289.5 and probably bounces from there. But looking at weekly, weekly's still okay technically, as long as the weekly remains above that 289 pivot. Actually, we do see weekly Stoic still headed up on, you know, on SPYs. We do still see weekly RSI looking, you know, like constructive within this region. And more importantly, the monthly, which will be ending quite soon, is still in a decent posture. And this is going to be difficult. This is going to be difficult. You know, if I had to lean one direction, it would actually be to the upside. But I don't feel like I have a strong hold on this one, and I want to be very open with how I feel about that. Going back on to Mr. Bitcoin, let's wrap this bitch up and call it a day. And basically, let's go down to the lower time frames. And let's kind of wrap it up like this. Actually, I'm gonna put it on an hourly. Yeah, there we go. And here's what I can say. Okay, as long as Bitcoin remains below 13,300 and above 11,800, then I would say that this is just consolidation in this region right here. There's no real major areas to be traded. I mean, you could be a buy on support, sell on resistance. But where the actual picture does change is anywhere above 13,300. I would be looking for another move back towards another move towards 14,000 and probably beyond. Probably, you know, at that point we can really change the change the phase once again, probably to 16,000. You know, 14,400 would be the first target, then 16,000, of course. But you know, right now, we're well and far away from doing that. By the same token, if we do actually take out 11,800 to the downside, or the wick, or this incredibly aggressive wick all the way down to 11,350 yesterday, then I would be looking for a move back down into the low 11,000s and probably about 10,900-ish region. So we are in kind of a very interesting portion of the market. Do we get follow through off this wick or not? We have yet to get follow through on any sort of major aggressive downside wick for the last 6 months. So if we did get that, I would be willing to call a change of behavior, and a change of behavior would incite that we do have some more downside to go, probably back down to 10,000 at the very least over time, and that would align with this kind of going into a sideways consolidation to slightly down as well from a longer term time frame perspective, and perhaps fill out those areas that we spoke about from a historical perspective as well on the CMEs. So I do want to get that out. I'm going to be leaving you off with that. A little bit of a hairy area right now. Like I said, from a technical analysis standpoint, it's actually still pointing up. My opinion though is that we go sideways here and down, and this is one of the few times that I'm gonna be trading my opinions. I almost never do this, but I will be doing it here. I will go back long, and I will uncover long if we go back above 13,300. But for now, I am happily hedged a little bit below 13,000.